anime world, back at it again with Twiz. We're here with another video. In this here video, we're going to be talking about Fire Force. Alright, now it's going to be the start of my reviews, which I'm actually going to have a number value on my reviews from now on and stuff like that. And you know, that way we can start stacking them up and seeing how they compare to each other. And so let's get into it with Fire Force. So these are the reasons why I think you should be watching Fire Force. I'm gonna try to not to have any spoilers in this thing at all, but I mean, it's gonna be a little bit of a description of the show, which if you haven't watched it yet, should at least get you to at least want to go watch the show. So the intro on this show here, on Fire Force, they kind of changed it up. So they had two of them on the season already, but on the intro on these shows is definitely up a tier, because the intro, the first one, banging. I like the first one better than the last one that they came out with. But both of them still up a tier, you know what I'm saying? Because they both go perfectly well with what the show is trying to do, or what they're doing on the show. Now, everybody knows once you get you a nice little anime and stuff like that, you got you a nice little intro. Once the intro is banging enough, you start trying to sing along to it and stuff like that. If it's good enough to you or whatever, you definitely gonna try to sing along to this anime, to this intro. You feel me? Because I mean, it's just that good. So on the intros on this one, I'm gonna give it a good 5 out of 5. And so let's talk about the plot. Now the plot starts out kind of simple, but you know, as the show kind of evolves, and let's keep in mind that it's still early on with this show, it's still a new show, but as it evolves, the plot is kind of evolving too. It's kind of simple, you know, and at one point it kind of had me scratching my head like, all right, this kind of ain't, it's not adding up, it's not making any sense. It's like, why it's going this way and doing this? I like, this is just ridiculous. So I was going to give up on the show. I ain't gonna lie, I was going to give up on the show, but you got to stay tuned. The plot thickens. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't give up on it right away. Just keep watching and watch how everything evolves. Everything is going to come full circle eventually. Now, the fire soldiers, like, they exist primarily to exterminate the Infernos, but recently there's an uptick in the Infernos, and they trying to figure out why so many Infernos coming alive and shit like that, because it wasn't like this before. And if we're here on the Fire Force, what's the whole purpose of the Fire Force if we're not, you know, terminating these things? There got to be a reason why so many of these motherfuckers keep coming up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give that a good 4 out of 5. You know. Now the characters of this show is actually pretty good. How they got the characters. The characters have different personalities and shit like that, you know, which makes the show pretty interesting. You know, you have Shinra, who is a 3rd generation pyrokinetic. You know, the boy's got the flame coming from his feet, and he's always like, when he gets into a situation, you'll see him like he's smiling and shit like that. Boy gets the cheesing and shit. You know what I'm saying? But there's a reason why. It's not just because he's cocky or whatever, but you just gotta see it, whatever. And then you got Arthur, you know, the king of, what do you call him? King Knight, or the Night King. And his flames, or his pyrokinetic, it gets so hot that it's pretty much like plasma. He's a 3rd gen too. And then you got Tamaki, and she's a 3rd gen. Pretty much turn herself into like a flame cat, you know. She got the ears and she got the little flame shit and stuff like that. But man, she clumsy than a bitch. Like, this girl always find herself into some type of situation and shit. Clothes always coming off and shit. Like, not on no dumb shit or just showing her titties and shit like that all the time. But I mean, the shit happens. You gotta watch it, bro. And then you got Maki. She's a 2nd generation pyrokinetic, and her things are like pretty much like these plush doll looking shits. I don't know however way to describe it, but they're like these little plush doll looking little fire things or whatever. And pretty much we call her like she's like the witch. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what they pretty much call her, because her hat looks like a witch and shit like that. Now, don't be fooled. That girl's a beast when it comes down to fighting. Like, you gonna see she fucks people up. People underestimate this chick. she fucking people up, you gonna see. And then you got Akitoro, and he's like the powerless. He's the captain of the crew. He's powerless, but he's another one. Don't be fooled. He's powerless, but through his equipment and his preparations and stuff like that, he's mobbing dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't gonna just walk up in there, ain't gonna be no easy squabble with this dude. He will wash you. You think you gonna wash this dude, but wrong. Think again, playboy. And then you got the second lieutenant, what's his name? Takahashi. I think I said it wrong, but Takahisha or whatever. But he's a second gen power user, and he used his powers pretty much through like the guns and shit like that. And like he can make like a regular 9mm round pretty much have the power of like a tank. You feel me? Like a tank projectile. So I mean that's how he used his powers and shit like that. Like, so that's pretty much Squad 8. But I'm gonna give the characters a good 4 out of 5. The reason why I'm not giving it a 5 is because there's not much of a character development. Like, you don't see people like growing and stuff like that. Even though you see the way Shinra used his powers develop, but that's kind of expected. I'm talking about character develop where they're actually changing who they are. You're not seeing that yet, but like I say, it's still new. The show is still new. So I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 on characters. And now we're gonna talk about the animation and the sound effects. Now I grouped these two in together because I feel like these two play hand in hand with each other. So that's why I have these two in with each other. Now when we talking about animation, Fire Force animation's kind of like, it's middle of the pack on the animation and stuff like that. There's nothing great about the animation and shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. Like, it's not like bad, but it's not great. Like I said, that's why it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, monotone, there's nothing bad about it or great. It's just, it is what it is. But the fight scenes on it is clever how they do the fight scenes on the, you know, the fight scenes are pretty fun within the show, because like with Shinra and stuff like that, there's like one fight scene where boys just coming up out the air and just, you will see how they play that whole thing up into that. Like, they made him look like dope, and that was a nice little scene to see up in there. So the fight scenes are pretty pretty dope. So the animation ain't bad. That's why I say it's not bad, but it's not great. Now when you mix in the animation and the sound effects on these fights, now we talking about a whole different like ballpark, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause the sound effects is straight up like amaze balls, you know what I'm saying? Like, that shit is like, that shit is fire, you know what I'm saying? Like, when these dudes be fighting each other, it sound like, you know, like battle tanks going at each other, like just like they, like, I'm telling you, man, you will see if you get into the show. Like, if you watching the show, you gotta watch it. If you watching it at home, make sure like nobody ain't gonna complain or something. You can turn the volume up to get the like full effect of the show, to get like the full, like the full experience of the show. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta get the animation with the sound effects, and it creates boom, voila. So the animation middle of the pack, and with the sound effects being up, so I give the animation about a 3. Sound effects I get at a 5. So, you know, in between those two, I have to give it the 4. So they get a 4 in this category. And now we're gonna move on to like miscellaneous type of things. So the show gives you a nice little mix of comedy, fan service, and fights. Cause like I say, on every episode you pretty much get in a fight, but you get your fan service too. Now the fan service coming at unexpected times. You may get it in a fight, you may get it in like a regular, they're doing some office building stuff, and then boom, you get something there. Like, but it's not, to me, I don't think it's over the top. You know what I mean? To each his own or whatever, but I don't think it's over the top. You have to get that on your own. But I think it's nice because it gives you a nice little different pace or whatever, because like I say, it's unexpected when it come out of there. Now, like I said, every episode seems like they got a fight in it. Like every episode is going down. Not saying dude's fighting the villain every time, but there's always something going on in this show. It's very action packed, and that's what I like about this show too. Cause you know, sometimes you get into a show and be like, man, I don't really care about all this talking. Like they talking too much. Like, man, I just want to see a show where dude just boxing all day. Well, you definitely gonna get that in this show. You know what I'm saying? And it's very fast paced. It's just choo 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 choo. Like you got one show that might be a semi-automatic, and this here is like, you know, a 3-round burst. Do 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 do. Like it's just like that. The whole, like, not fully automatic, but just do 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 do. A good, well paced where it's still enjoyable. You don't feel like everything is like, oh my gosh, I can't absorb all of this information. It's still enjoyable. So I'm gonna give like in the miscellaneous category, I'm gonna give it a good 4 out of 5 on this one. And now we're gonna get into the emotions. Now, I had to make the emotions a different category because I couldn't really put the emotions in the miscellaneous, because, you know, sometimes the emotions can separate a show and make it from like this is top tier, like this is S tier, as we call it in the anime world. But this show isn't S tier, and it's because of the emotions part of it too. And part of that is also because how the plot is, everything is like fast paced, but the emotions on this show, it doesn't like hit you in the feels or whatever, but it's not that type of show. It's not that type of show that which is just trying to pull on your heartstrings and make sadness and stuff like that. At least that's not how I interpret it, even though it have those type of moments, you know, where I feel like they're trying to do those type of things, but it just doesn't hit the mark on that, not for me at least. And then you have like I said, the fight scenes are fun, but they're very exciting, you know what I'm saying? The fight scenes are filled with a whole bunch of like holy shit moments, you know what I'm saying? And also like you'll be watching, like everybody, all of the Rick and Morty, the fans in there, you'll be watching the shit and something happen, like, ooh, he missed the poopy pants. Like we all got those type of moments on the show. Now everybody, there's gonna be one fight in which, I mean, my nephew was over at the crib or whatever, and we was watching this fight together. Like, and he just, you know, just randomly watching his, like, I'm watching anime, he in his phone and stuff like that. You know how kids are these days. But, you know, the fight going on and the sound effects, I guess, what made him look up from his phone, because, you know, he's now started trying to get an anime too. But he looked up from his phone and these dudes fighting. And when I tell you, this fight had a like, what the fuck just happened moment. I mean, it was just like that. I mean, you gonna get into it. I'm telling you, this show is not gonna disappoint. I mean, like I said, it's definitely worth it. But like I said, even though it's not S tier on the emotions, it's doing good for what the type of show that it is. So I'm gonna give this a good 4 out of 5. Now, overall, the show is pretty much action-packed fight scenes the whole way, you know, and it's fast-paced. It's not slow-paced or medium-paced, any of that type of stuff, but it's still paced well enough in which the show is actually enjoyable. Now, it's still early. The show is still coming out, but it's definitely promising. So, with all of that being said, on the scale, you can possibly get, at max you can get 30. I'm gonna give this one a good 25 out of 30. So that's one down, many more to go. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. See you soon.